Number 1 for today. The jogging path around the city park is 2 5/10 kilometers long. Mikaela records the number of laps he jogs each day for 3 days. How many total meters does Mikaela jog during the 3 days? So when I'm thinking about what's the question asking, it says how many meters. So first thing I'm going to start off with is my question mark. And I'm wanting to know the total he ran in meters. Okay. Then when I go back into the problem, it says the park path is 2 5/10 kilometers long. That's the path. Then underneath it, we see a chart, and that's how many laps he's done. So on Monday, he did 3 laps. On Tuesday, he did 2 laps. And on Wednesday, he did 3 laps. So far, this is how I have my problem set up. We're looking for the total in meters. 1 lap around his park track is 2 5/10 kilometers, and he's done 3 laps on Monday, 2 laps on Tuesday, 3 laps on Wednesday. So the first thing we need to think about is, well, how many laps total has he done? And when we see that word total, we're going to think we need to either add or multiply to help us get our answer. Well, I'm going to start with my laps, and I want to know the total amount of laps that he's done. So I need to add those together, okay? So 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 3 is 8. So I know he's done 8 laps total so far this week, okay? Now go back to this bit of information. If 1 lap is 2 5/10 kilometers and he did 8 of them, should I be adding or multiplying to find his total? Okay. Well, if 1 was 2.5 and we need 8, I'm going to multiply those numbers together. So I'm going to start with 2.5 at the top because it has more digits times 8. Okay. 8 times 5 is 40, so I'm going to put my 0, carry my 4. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 4 is 20. So now I have 200. And my decimal has 1 number behind it. So I'm going to put it back in, 1 number. So he went 20 kilometers total. So now we've done the total part. Now it's to look to, but my question wants it in meters, and mine's in kilometers. Okay, so this is when we go back to King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk to help us with our order. Right now I have kilometers, so I'm going to find my K. I'm going to write 20 underneath kilometers. I want to move that all the way to meters. Remember, meters is the unit. Meters, liters, grams. So I'm trying to get right here. Okay, so we're going to move. This would be this direction, and my answer should be getting what? Bigger. Okay. So 20 times 10 is 200. 20 times 100, so now we're at 200. 2,000. One more jump. 20,000. From 20 to 200 to 2,000 to 20,000 because we're getting 10 times bigger each jump. So I know he went 20,000 meters that week. Okay. Which, if I look, is A for number 1. Okay. So now let's move to number 2. Give me 1 second to erase my board. Number 2. Elena plants a tree that is 2 meters tall in her yard. Which of the following is equivalent to 200 meters? Okay. So my question's asking for which is equivalent. So think to yourself, what does equivalent mean? Okay, so think about how we've learned it with fractions. Equivalent means I'm looking for things that are equal to. So I'm going to write equal next to equivalent. And they're telling us that her tree is 2 meters tall. And we're looking for the ones that are equivalent. So I'm looking for all of the ones that could be equal to 2 meters. Okay, so I'm going to write down anything that I think that would match that. So I'm going to think about King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk. And meters is a base unit, so this is 2. Okay, So what would we do to think if things are equivalent? So let's go backwards first. Let's move this way. If I'm moving in this direction, I know my answer is getting bigger because this is like a bottled water and we're moving to how many drops of water are in that. So if I move one place, that's 10 times bigger. So this would make it 20 decimeters because I'm multiplying by 10. Another jump would be 20 times 10. So this turns into 200 centimeters. Okay. If I jumped again, this would turn into 2,000 millimeters. So all of those are equivalent to 2. And if I wanted to move this way, then I know my answer should be getting smaller because now we're using bigger containers, so they're going to take more to fill up. So if I move this way, it's going to get 10 times smaller. So that's going to be 2/10 of a decameter. Okay. This one's going to be 10 times smaller, so it turns into 2/100 of a hecameter. And this one gets 10 times smaller, so it turns into 2/1000 of a kilometer. All of these are equivalent to 2. And if this doesn't quite work for you, then you could use your cheat sheet that we're doing today, where we know a kilometer is 1,000 meters, and you could kind of go from there.